This IPA was brewed July 30th to September 2nd. I let this one go a full month. I fermented it for about 2.5 weeks, close to 3, kegged it, slowly carbonated it, and yeah, here time for the tasting. The hops in this were Simcoe, Mosaic, Citra. Nothing new there necessarily. And the grain profile was just 2-row flaked oats and some acid malt. And the yeast was the US-05. And I'll put the video of the original brew day below as well. So let's give it a taste here. It's nice. It's definitely better than the last couple I've made. It's probably the freshest tasting. I'd say that it needs a bit more freshness. I think the yeast was fine. It attenuated out, has a good body to it. All the parameters are there. The bitterness level's okay. It could still be a hair more bitter. You know, with Simcoe, Citra, Mosaic, you're gonna get, you know, stone fruit, especially with the Mosaic. Citra, you get citrus with some fruit also. Simcoe, more the piney stuff, but combined, you tend to get like that conglomeration of hop burst and flavor with citrus, melon, and all that kind of stuff going on. This has all that. It just doesn't have that like in your nose freshness that it should. And I don't think it's because I waited too long. I think I waited about right. For me, I need to wait about a month to taste my IPAs. That includes 3 weeks of fermentation and then a good week or a week and a half of dry hopping, depending on the schedule. Sometimes if I double dry hop, you know, then definitely looking at a month. But there's a window there, around 3.5 weeks to about 5 weeks. That window right there, I have to drink it by then. Because usually after 5 weeks to 6 weeks, then it starts to fade. Before that, it doesn't taste quite right. It needs to filter out a bit more. It needs to sit around a little bit more. When I've brushed these in the past, it never turns out well. I cleared out pretty nicely too. I let it sit for a while. I slowly carbonated it, and I heard from a brewer that's a good way to do it. There's a head brewer, and he said, you know, slowly carbonate it, 3 psi to 5 psi to like 7 psi, 10 psi. I didn't necessarily do it that way. I went from like 7 to 8 to 10, and I also dry hopped with at 60 degrees Fahrenheit for 24 hours. And I would have gone longer, but my chest freezer broke with my where I ferment my stuff, so I had to move it over quickly into my cold chest freezer so it wouldn't get all messed up in like 100-degree weather, which it is today. The last 3 days. These are very, very delicate beers to make. I think they're way harder than any other style. You have to have the hops be perfect. My bittering edition of IBUs I'm playing with, because for a while I was getting too much in the flavor and not much in the bitterness. This is a pretty good balance. I still think it could be a little more bitter and a little less flavorful. I might steep less to 10 minutes next time rather than 20 to 15, which is what I've been doing. I've gone as long as 45 minutes in a steeping. There's so much parameters and so much you can play with. And it obviously depends on what kind of style of IPA you're making or what you like in an IPA. If you like it maltier, then obviously it's different. If you like it those juicy, cloudy, hazy stuff, that's a little different. I know what I like a dry West Coast bitter IPA with a hop flavor and aroma. They're very hard to make, especially on a homebrew scale. I don't have the freshest hops possible. I am going to start to buy vacuum sealed hops because this homebrew hop stuff isn't working that great. I really want to try the cryo hop stuff, which is the powdery stuff, and you're getting basically just the lupulin powder. That stuff supposedly is really, really good for dry hopping, and you get like a huge, huge burst of aroma out of that because you don't need as much of the greenness of the hops. You're using more of just the oils. So I really want to try that. But yeah, difficult style, very delicate to make. The hardest one, in my opinion, to make. I've heard Pilsners are hard, the hardest for a lot of people to make. I kind of disagree, but I'm not a Pilsner connoisseur. But, you know, to each their own, right? So, yeah, cheers. It's not that bad.